So thanks everybody for joining us and for coming here tonight, or those who are listening to this later. So as mentioned, I am Don Spafford. I'm with Happy Camper Capital. We also have a separate sister company that is owned by Happy Camper Capital called Beyonder Camp, which I'll get to that a bit later as well. That's our campground management company. What we do is, of course, we want to build multi-generational wealth for our investors, great experiences for the guests that come to our campgrounds, and just to have these great memories and wealth that can pass on for generations. So a bit about me, just who I am. I'm a father of four. I have three girls and a boy. My wife is from Paraguay, so we speak Spanish at home. I lived 2 years in Argentina myself. Um, we enjoy traveling and doing fun things. I graduated, as mentioned, I lived in Nebraska. I graduated from the University of Nebraska at Omaha, basically right next door to Warren Buffett's house, and so kind of grew up in that his shadow and wanting to be an investor like him, and that's kind of why I pursued my career path or educational path in finance and investment science. I also have a fascination for ancient Egyptian culture. That painting there, I painted that by hand on our basement wall in our house in Omaha. It's like a life-size mural, kind of made it feel like inside of a pyramid in my basement, theater room. But I also enjoy, coin collecting. It's one of my passions, I guess, and hobbies I enjoy the fascination behind, coinage and essentially the artwork on money. So I bought my first property in 2017. It was a fourplex, about 45 minutes away from where I'm at. And I at the time, getting started, I had no experience investing in real estate. I didn't really know a whole lot other than what I saw through other people doing, and kind of when I learned a bit on like Bigger Pockets, for example, just recently before that. But I leveraged a local lender that is a 10% down payment on investment properties, and I pulled most of that down payment from my 401k. So I did not have savings to pull from or IRA or anything else, but this 401k, I realized I could borrow from it. So I did that to pay for this down payment on this property, which I bought, I think at the time, for like $265,000, I think, which is pretty much almost impossible to buy a single family old home for that price now. So that property, of course, has increased tremendously in value and provides a great cash flow for me. The second property I bought was about a year and a half later. It's two fourplexes I bought in Arkansas. I bought those for 15% down. So pretty much any property that I've bought on my own so far, I've never paid more than 15% down on them. So, people that think you have to have 25% down, you don't necessarily have to. There are ways you can get around that. But those two properties, I actually just recently sold those the end of August of this year. I'll get into why and what I'm doing with that money now. I'm actually putting it all into what I'm doing now, these campgrounds. But after that kind of came up, this is where things started to switch and got into more commercial type stuff. I got this opportunity to do a land flip. The land option was brought to me, and it kind of told me about what was happening in the area, why it was going to be worth a lot more very soon. So I was like, let's get under contract, and I just got to work and found partners that could bring the capital to make that happen. So I got into that deal with $0 out of pocket, and we're hopefully finally closing on that by the end of this year, maybe. Or early next year. We bought it in 2019 and planned to sell it in 2020, but COVID put everything on hold and postponed. But as of now, it's very likely it's going to sell by the end of this year now, finally. The fourth deal, as you see there, was a development project that came up. This is kind of that same area, just down the road, another lot that I got under contract, kind of the same thing, but this time I didn't want to just sell it. I wanted to build something, so I found again a partner that could bring capital, and we started work on this project here. It is currently under construction, should be completed probably by January or so next year, depending on some supply chain stuff if that gets delayed some, but happening very soon. It's a 5-unit commercial strip mall. So a very interesting project to get involved with that. And then because of that experience and everything else I was doing, I met with a couple of local developers in my area that were looking to do some projects. I had helped them raise capital for some previous deals and kind of more or less negotiated myself into being a partner on their team. And so I got involved with this giant development project of almost 800 doors here in Idaho Falls, Idaho. That was my first attempt at capital raising, was for this big development project. So it was difficult for sure for me, but for not having, first of all, experience capital raising, but also being still fairly new overall to the commercial space. I didn't really have a whole lot of contacts or experience or that network base you need really to get investors. But I took it on anyway, and I still did pretty good, I think, and honestly better than I thought I would. From there, that's kind of what led me to want to continue to do more. I was trying to get into other multifamily deals. I wanted to find some existing, multifamily apartment projects to come in as a GP, or to find on my own to either syndicate with some other people, or if it's a smaller project, I could JV with somebody. The main person that brought the capital for that land flip, he actually personally contacted me and said if I can find a great deal, like a 20 or 30 unit, he would be happy to fund it, trusting I could find these great deals. So I was busy trying to find deals. I was actively searching and not finding anything that I felt comfortable about. And so I was almost to my breaking point. I was unable to find projects that I thought were good enough that I would trust putting his or anybody else's money into. I couldn't find anything bigger, like 100+ unit apartment buildings that I again felt comfortable with my analysis on it. The numbers just weren't good enough. I was looking for these like probably had too high of expectations, I guess, but I was looking for these great deals based on what I had previously found with the stuff I was doing before. And so I just kept waiting and almost got to the point where I'm like, well, maybe there's nothing else out there. So I started looking at other people's syndication deals. Okay, well, I could just still invest as an LP investor, as most people do, and call that good enough. But I just didn't feel comfortable with that. I was like, these deals, the ones I was seeing, did not meet my expectations. Still, I had high hopes, and I knew that there's got to be something better. I didn't want to just put my capital in my money into something and then regret it a few months later if something better came along. So around that time, I heard on a podcast somebody else talk about RV campgrounds, something that I'd never heard about or considered before as an investment option. For where I live in Idaho, there's a lot of camping happens around me. All my neighbors have RVs. We're like an hour and a half from Yellowstone Park, so it's of course a big camping area. And so I thought this was interesting. I started to look more into it, and started networking with people in that space. And I came across a couple guys that were just bought their first property together and were looking to grow their team and do more. And that's kind of where things started to click. And so I met and spoke with Adam Lindy and Justin Hoggett, who are the founding partners of Happy Camper Capital. And it was just, I guess, perfect timing of everything falling into place for where I was at when I was doing and what they were looking to do and grow the company. And so I came on together with them, and we've now exploded this company over this year alone. We went from that first property they had to now we have currently 4 that we have operating and under management, and we have about 4 more under contract right now. So we're growing at a rapid pace and set to have an excellent next year. This is what we do. With Happy Camper Capital, it sounds kind of weird, maybe different, but we buy RV resorts, campgrounds, and marinas. So not self-storage, not mobile home parks, not multifamily or anything else. These are vacation resorts. And so with this, we do a lot of direct calling to the campground owners. It's not you don't see a lot of them listed by brokers. There are some, but most of them, we are calling up the campgrounds directly. In most cases, I'd say the vast majority of existing campgrounds are owned by, you'll say, mom and pop owners. They're not big corporations or institutions. They maybe have just that one campground. They usually live and work there because that's like their baby, and that's their income source. So it's pretty easy to get a hold of the owners when we call them. So we work out a deal if they're looking to sell it, and then we do our due diligence process and everything in place to make sure it's going to work out and meet our expectations for returns. And then we present it to our investors to invest in with us. So to be clear, these are RV resorts, not mobile home parks. People often get the terms kind of intermixed. You think RV parks, and you automatically think of mobile home parks. So that's why I personally don't even use the term RV parks, because that's not what we buy. We buy these campground destination resorts. So just to make sure people are clear on that. So maybe you're thinking, okay, why is this a thing, or why should I care? So a few questions I get asked by people. They're wondering about if this recession happens, or it may already be happening, I guess. But how's that going to affect this space? Are people going to stop camping or stop traveling or all that? So there's, I guess, my thoughts on this are a few different variations of what could be or will be. But first of all, I don't think people are going to stop camping. If anything, a recession, I think, is going to make people do more camping. More people are now familiar with the term staycation. So, if you can't, don't want to spend a bunch of money to go to Disney World or something, you want to do something close by. So these campgrounds offer great activities to go do. There's not just plain camping. I just want to here to build a campfire and cook some s'mores. You go to these places because you want to have fun. There's like usually a water park or boating. Could be a concert event. Different things going on that will bring you to that campground. On top of that, I look at the most people, like they see in the picture there, that type of a motorhome is probably at least 100,000, if not 150, 200,000 maybe. These can be quite expensive. So people that are buying these, are not just getting a new PlayStation 5. This is a luxury item. That if you can afford that type of amenity in your life, you're probably not going to be too affected by a recession. Your income's still pretty stable. You're probably not going to lose your job. So those people are still going to spend their money and go have fun. And if you have something like this sitting in your driveway somewhere, you don't want to just park there not using it. You're going to get out and go have fun with it. So therefore, we think these are fairly recession resistant for those reasons. Currently, we are buying campgrounds around, I'd say, about a 10 cap or sometimes more currently. About a year ago it was maybe a 12 cap. So we're still at a very high cap rate as compared to just about anything else, even when we're at purchase right now. And they provide great cash flow day one. So that was, for me, the thing that really attracted me most to it was, I was looking for cash flow. I wanted to get, financial independence. I needed to get out of my job, all these things that you want to do with cash flow. So that's really what attracted me to this initially. But these properties, again, these are vacation resorts. You want to think of it kind of like a short-term rental at a multifamily scale. So these produce high income day one. So we'll get into some cash flows a bit later on here, but just know that they can provide.
Hey, stand up! I'm going to fix your belt. I don't like how it's not.
They can provide a very great cash flow to those who invest with us. We'll just cover a bit of numbers. So currently, millennials are the largest purchasers of new RVs. That's been the last couple of years, and I think, again, part of that is due to the COVID, the pandemic. Some cases they were, maybe priced out of buying a house or always outbid. So the next best thing is to buy an RV. And on top of that, if you're a younger person, don't have kids, or your kids are very young, you now have the option to work from home. You can work remotely from anywhere. So why would I want to be stuck living in this city or that city the rest of my life? I can travel and go live someplace new every month and still do my same job from my RV and enjoy it and see the scenery of the country and all that stuff. So I think those things have been a big push of why this has really happened. And then, of course, we like buying them because they're fun. So for our investors that come in our deals, of course, like I said, we provide very great cash flow returns to our investors. You own a piece of the property itself, so you're essentially a part owner. You get equity in the deal. We have had opportunities as low as 25,000 minimums, and also up to 100,000. So there's kind of variations in there depending on the size of the property. We like our investors to actually go there and have fun. So if you, for example, probably a good number of our investors are people that already enjoy the RV lifestyle. They have an RV, or they go camping, they enjoy the outdoors. And so this is like a logical step for them just to invest in something they already are using, something they enjoy and have fun with. And if not, even if you're a brand new investor, you've never been camping in your life, we want you to still go to these properties anyway and go there and have fun. So we actually provide incentives to our investors to go to our campgrounds. We give you a 1 week free stay at any of our properties and discounts beyond that throughout the whole year. So you can actually go there and have fun with it. And of course, there are potentially huge tax benefits. I'm not a tax attorney or CPA to tell you anything here, but I have seen cost segregation studies that have been as far as even exceeding 100% depreciation. So there's potential to get very high depreciation benefits on your taxes. So as I mentioned earlier, Beyonder is our campground management company. It is wholly owned by Happy Camper Capital. That provides the campground management for our properties, as well as other third-party campgrounds as well. For anybody that's going to be in the Orlando area next week, we're going to be at a major RV convention and expo called the OHCE Outdoor Hospitality Conference Expo, I think. So we'll be there all next week with a booth for Beyonder. Obviously looking for new campground owners that want us to manage their campgrounds for them. Additionally, we're going to be there looking for owners of campgrounds who may want to sell. And then there's also, typically other campground owners may very well be investors in our deals too. So, since Beyonder, provides everything a campground would need as far as the online reservations, the hiring and training of staff, pretty much everything that you could ever need. And so how you can invest with us, again, I think I mentioned earlier, we have both 506B and 506C opportunities. Currently, right now, we have a 506C fund that we've opened recently that is going to be holding between 5 to 8 different properties. In fact, we are doing a webinar this Friday for anybody listening right now. You can come on this Friday to listen to, we're showing our second property that's going into this fund, just to see the examples of what types of returns you can expect based on the type of properties going into it. You can, of course, come in with your own personal cash, an entity like an LLC or a trust. You have a self-directed IRA or 401k, fund of funds. If you're somebody that has a fund of funds that invests in other deals, this would be a great opportunity for your fund. Again, especially with the 506B opportunities, of course, as you may or may not know, those types of deals we do not publicly advertise. We cannot. So the only way to get into those deals is to be connected to us. You need to register on our website and have a conversation with myself or somebody from our team, get to know us, and then when an opportunity comes up that fits your needs, you like it, and you like what you see, then you can just simply, through our investor portal, just say you want to invest in that deal and get right into it. Pretty simple. And then you start getting your cash flow distributions almost right away. I'd say we pay out quarterly. So if you invest, say we'll say today, after the next quarter end, you would be getting your first distribution. So there's nothing held back. We don't make you wait like a year to get anything because we're doing CapEx. That CapEx budget is already built into our plan. I guess something I didn't really talk about earlier too is the properties we buy are value-add properties. We're not just getting turnkey resorts, which they of course are. Again, the cash flow as is day one, but we look for opportunities we can add value. Typically, that includes expansion. We add on more RV pads, other amenities, things that can bring in additional cash flow revenue, and of course, just the optimization of the property itself. You take a mom and pop owner that keeps things very simple and easy for them to manage. We put in the proper efficiencies with staffing and procedures and processes. Then that property just as is alone is going to improve the income just from that. Then we of course do our things to add in additional spaces and more income. That property value just goes up and the cash flow goes up. Usually by year two, we have a probably a 40 to 50% increase from the year one cash flow. So then it goes up every year from that. So currently we have about, like I said, we have 4 deals in our portfolio as is right now. Sleepy Hollow, Iowa was that very first one that I mentioned that my partners closed on all by themselves with no really help from outside, just them alone, and then realized, hey, we need more help. So when I came on, then we closed on Rising Sun in Indiana. That was our second property. Then the 2 below, Sterritt Creek, which is on the Ozarks area of Missouri, and Lazy Acres, another one in Iowa. We closed on both of those together around the same point in August. The one in Missouri, of course, has a giant boat slip marina on there as well. Probably bigger than the RV space on that. Very cool property. So I'm going to show you a couple examples of just what you could possibly expect with us. These are both ones that have already closed on, not anything currently available to invest in. These both were 506B deals. 2 of the ones that were mentioned earlier here. So that very first one, again, Sleepy Hollow, that very first property. It's a nice, little property, kind of smaller than what we typically are looking for these days, but decent little property. Got a little lake on there and a pool. It was 26 acres, 126 RV spots and 3 cabins, and 12 mobile home lots on there when it was purchased. It's about 30 minutes from Iowa City and Cedar Rapids. So part of our I guess going back to that. The properties we buy and where we buy them at and those risks and things, we look for properties within about a 2-hour drive of a major metropolitan area. That kind of helps also make sure that people are still going to come to these campgrounds. So we look for something that's nearby so we can get that built-in user base. Those people that don't want to take a cross-country trip, but they'll still drive a couple hours to go out and have fun. So this property, of course, we're doing some expansion with it, but it was purchased for about 1.6 million. Did a fundraise of about 685,000. This one did have a minimum of 25,000 investment into it. So the year one cash flow on this, or your cash on cash, was expected to be about 10%. As we have completed that first year of operations, we actually provided back over 12% to our investors for that first year. So we actually outdid our expectations on that. As you can see, we're looking for very high IRR thresholds and overall returns, pretty kind of crazy compared to what you see in other things. Our second property, or this is, the second one, we closed on this one about in May of this year. It was called Elson's Little Farm. We've changed it to the name to Rising Sun. This is in Indiana. Also a nice little property. It's along the river, and it has a lot of great options for we're going to improve this property. It's about 30 acres. We've got an additional 3 acres or almost 4 acres that we're going to be expanding on, adding on more campsites and additional glamping options as well. This one also includes an area where we are going to put in essentially like a little amphitheater or stage for concert events. This was like a perfect location for that. So that's something then that's going to be coming up. It's going to attract people to come there for these concerts, and while they're there, spend money on other things as well. This is about 180 RV hookups, a few cabins, and some other other glamping options we're going to add onto it. This one had a purchase price of 3.4. Get a minimum of 25,000 get into this one. Our average expectation for cash flow on this one is about 11% plus. We try to be very conservative on these. We don't want to tell you expect 20%, which we feel pretty confident we're going to usually hit around there anyway. But we want to give you a very low expectations of say, hey, 11%, that's still pretty decent. So this one again has about a 23% plus IRR expectations on that. So we are now getting into this. Like I said, we mentioned we have this fund now. So we started this 506c fund, and that kind of came out for multiple reasons. But ideally, this is going to be a great deal for everybody involved, the investors.
Yes.
To have more exposure, to have less risk for say a hurricane or a tornado destroys a single property. We've got other deals in the portfolio that are going to keep things moving. So this was pretty awesome. We just launched it just very recently, and we've already had great exposure through many media sources that picked it up to kind of I guess give us some great commercialization with Yahoo Finance being a big one, TD Ameritrade, a few like RV industry specific ones like Woodall's. Excuse me. These places are all show these on their websites and their emails and others they've sent out. So give us a great exposure for sure. This, like I said, is a 506c, which is for accredited investors only. But again, we were going to be talking about the second property for this fund. We will be doing a webinar on this Friday. So anybody interested in that, feel free to reach out to me or go to our website to learn more about that. Just for some expectations on that. So we are we have 3 different share classes on there, depending on your amount you invest in, which is why I said before it'd be great for like a fund of funds that can come with a large amount to get up to that Class A share. That you have a higher preferred return plus a higher IRR waterfall threshold, and distributions are still paid out quarterly. Let's see here. I want to share this as well, that the first Thursday every month, so which actually means tomorrow night, we do a webinar as well on just general education about different things. So this month, tomorrow, we'll be doing a webinar about how to invest in real estate with your IRA or 401k. Something to help either you yourself learn about and know more about, or even if you are say a deal sponsor yourself, something to learn more about to help educate your investors and tell them how they can do it and connect them with the right people that do that. We have our guest speakers and experts. You probably, if you're on Bigger Pockets, if you ever introduced yourself on the forums, he's probably usually the first one to respond to you that you can, so you'll probably know his name. But definitely, check that out. Come to our website again to learn more about that. And if you want to reach me, of course, you can reach out to happycampercapital.com. You can go to our website. You can find the About Us tab there, which will find me, and you can directly set up or schedule a call on Zoom with me on there. Or feel free to email me here at don.spafford@happycampercapital.com, or you can feel free to text or call me. That's my cell phone number right there. So I'd be happy to talk to you guys about what you're looking for and if we can help you reach your goals faster.
Thank you, Don. That was amazing.
Yeah, you're welcome. I kind of covers a lot there, so it's a lot to cover, a lot to get into to try to cram in. So definitely, if you have questions, feel free to ask, or let's definitely schedule a call and discuss it more in detail with you.
Yeah, so we can definitely open up for questions. I have a few of my own, but I'll let the audience ask first.
Hey, Don, thanks so much for the presentation. My name's Troy.
Probably, Troy.
And yeah, hi. So the Happy Camper Capital is primarily a fund for basically we can be an investor at different levels, is what I understand, into the projects you have. And
Yeah.
are you
Yeah. Well,
okay? And then
Sure, go
are
ahead.
you also able to help people look at, you know, buying deals themselves too? Is that what you're also involved with?
So nice that you asked about this. So we are about to release a course on how to do that. Yeah, we're actually launching it next week, coinciding with the convention that's happening next week. We've already had a lot of people that have essentially pre-registered with interest in getting into that. So that is something we are about to begin, as a course on how to purchase those types of properties. There are other courses out there from other people, but they are very different in their model as compared to what we do. We've had to pretty much build our own, you know, I guess, systems and things to work in this model for these resort style campgrounds. Most of the other ones that are out there are kind of more similar to like the mobile home parks style. So the numbers don't quite work the same. So yeah, we're putting on our own course on how to do that to help you to, if this is what you want to do and buy your own, we'll help you to learn the processes and steps to make that happen and be successful with it.
Yeah, I mean, definitely the price points on Sleepy Hollow and Rising Sun, those don't seem like that insurmountable as far as the price point. You know, so the question is, how do you find these deals, right? You know, they're
Yeah. Well,
that's the real thing.
Yeah, as I said, it takes a lot of work. We have a couple of our acquisitions guys that's all they do is they're making, you know, dozens if not hundreds of phone calls, you know, every day or week, and not everybody's willing to sell, obviously, you know, but so it takes a lot of effort to find the ones that do, but you know, when they do, they're definitely very profitable and worth the time and effort to do it. So yeah, we definitely have taken a lot of a lot of steps and learning, I guess, and the proper techniques to do that, to make that happen, which I think will obviously be part of the course and helping you to kind of refine your process to do that. But essentially, like I said, you know, before, most of these places that are mom and pop owned, if you call up the property, you're probably very likely to be able to reach the owner. They're there on site. You know, they're usually the ones that will be answering the phones and taking reservations. So it's pretty easy to hold them. Yeah, for that, it's just, you know, talking about their pain points and if they're really, you know, willing and ready to sell, or if not, to be at least on their list at some point down the road to sell.
Wow, Don. Okay, so it's just basically straight up hard work is what you're doing to find these opportunities, because it's not like they're listing it on, you know, some sort of platform.
Yes, yeah, there are some that get listed through brokers, but well, from what we've seen, those of course are typically going to be almost too overpriced that the numbers don't work. You know, with the ones we see listed through a broker are usually like around a 6 cap. You know, so for us, those numbers don't work for the returns we're looking to provide our investors. You know, so when we do it on our own and find them off market, you know, we work out a great deal. I said it's more around a 10 cap when we buy them.
Yeah, well, you have to maintain the margins for the returns.
Right.
Okay, thank you.
Is the business model the same in terms of holding for 5 to 7 years, Don? Or I guess there is obviously always an exit. So can you talk a little bit more about the hold strategy and exit strategy?
Yeah, so we always plan for a 5-year hold. We always say that that could change if we hit our numbers sooner. We may look to exit sooner. We typically do not include a refinance in our projections. As you'll see, many other you'll say that typically multifamily syndications include a refinance maybe year 3 or so. We don't include that in our numbers just because, you know, if it makes sense to do the time, we'll do it. But if not, we don't want to plan for it and have it not happen or not happen as expected if, you know, interest rates don't match or whatever it may be, because that would just, you know, throws off your numbers. So we don't even include it all. So we plan for a 5-year hold, but potentially could get out, you know, in 3-4 years if needed. But we actually have our exit plan is pretty simple, and so there's 2 ways we can go here. Our ultimate plan is essentially the property itself will just transfer to Beyonder Camp. So essentially, we would do a refinance at that year 5 to pay off all the limited partners. Everybody would be paid out, get their expected returns as expected. Of course, we do a third party appraisal to get, you know, the market value. You know, not you know, undervalue anything. But of course, our ultimate goal is we want to satisfy investors. We want you to come back for more. So we're definitely going to make sure you're well pleased. And so that's our our plan one, or plan A, I guess I should say. And so therefore we have a guaranteed buyer in the end. So we're not going to be saying, well, what if it doesn't sell, but then at the same point, our other side is that, we think right now, this space is really just starting to explode and emerge as far as institutional buyers. Like I said, it's mostly been mom and pop stuff, but more institutional groups like ourselves are getting involved. So there will be a market for it, I believe, in the next, by the time we're looking to sell in 4 to 5 years. I think it's going to be a very hot niche, kind of like, if you look at mobile home parks and self-storage 5 years ago, not many people were really doing them. Then all of a sudden they kind of just exploded and everybody got involved and they became just as popular as anything else. And so, this space I think is going to be just like that in about, probably 3 years or so. So if it makes sense to sell on the open market, if we're going to sell it at a, I'd say like overpriced and insane kind of values like we've been seeing in the last couple of years with some other things, then we definitely would sell it on the open market as well if it's going to get the highest return to everybody. But that's this year our exit plan is that.
And then in terms of, you said the guarantee buyer is beyond
Beyond camp, yeah, our management company, yeah.
Okay, and so they would, is that they're like treated as a separate company, or how does that work?
So Beyond Camp is a separate company, separate entity from Happy Camper Capital. So essentially, we would just do so when we take over the property, of course, they said it's managed by Beyond to begin with. So we would just do the refinance and titling everything at that point, since we was taking on that new valuation. So essentially, we say we buy one for $3 million today, which most of the deals we're doing today are closer to 12 million. But so you buy it for $3 million, and then by year 5, say it's worth say 10 million. We would then refinance that value, take that essentially the cash out, the refi to pay off the investors and give them back their equity. That would be due at that point. You're getting cash flow the whole time along the way, but you also then get equity at the end. So I think I mentioned before, our average deals we're looking about a 2.5 to 3x multiple. On our basically we'll say low end expectations. So anyway, yeah. So you're getting the cash flow plus the equity to get you paid off at the end there.
Thank you. Any additional questions from the audience?
Yeah, so you were just mentioning, sorry, just wanted to make sure everybody else got their chance. So in terms of the deals you're working on now, they're more in the $12 million range. And what you were saying is that if there's improvements to the property and the valuation comes up, then all that increased value is also shared?
Yes, that's correct. Mm-hmm.
Cool. And then typically you're holding the properties for about 5 years, 3 to 5?
Yeah, so the plan is we always tell you at least to plan for a 5-year hold. So if we hit say like a 25% IRR by year 3, and we'll say, okay, maybe now's a good time to sell. So or refinance, whatever. So we could potentially get out sooner, but we always say at least plan for the 5-year hold. With the fund, in that case, it could go a little bit longer as it overlaps. But so if we're going to be buying properties for the next maybe year within that fund, those properties will start to be removed out by probably year 4 or 5, and then kind of until they're all eventually liquidated from the fund. So you'd be getting the cash flow the entire time from those properties, plus then the equity payout each time each one is sold. So that could potentially accumulate to a significant amount at the end there.
Cool. So then the expected, whatever the investment is, the cash on cash return is the return on that annualized. And then is that correct?
Well, yeah. So the cash on cash is the actual cash flow, not including the equity at all. That's so I've seen some other, I've seen some other deal offerings from some other sponsors that they include that essentially, backdated annualized equity as part of the cash flow. I'm like, well, that's not correct.
No.
This cash flow, the 12 to 15 or potentially more, the cash on cash is your actual cash flow from the property during each year. And then you get the equity at the end as well. So basically with say like a 3x multiple, just for example, you're basically getting your say you put in 100,000, you're getting over that 5-year period, you're probably getting about 100,000 of cash flows. So basically doubling your money just from the cash flow loan, and then doubling it again, the other 100,000 from the equity side of it. So yeah, great deal, overall as compared to anything else out there.
Got it. And then what were you showing the 506C, because you went really quick through it. So you need to be an accredited investor for the 506C.
Yes, for 506Cs, you have to be an accredited investor for those. If that were not the case, I would not even be able to talk about it tonight. So, it's one of those things where, yeah, for the non-accredited, 506Bs,
Mhm.
you have to have that existing relationship and cannot openly, advertise for it. So that those situations, we will have some that will still come up. Everything we've done before now have all been 506Bs. And so we will still do some of those as we go along. Not everything's going to be a good fit for the fund. So we will do some 506B deals separately along the way. So definitely need to be registered on the website and have some interaction with myself or somebody else from the team to be able to invest in those deals when they come up.
So the majority of your deals right now are 506C then.
Well, I don't know if I'd say the majority, but we are definitely focusing on this fund right now. Since it's just launched, it's a $25 million fund. We're trying to get that fully funded and find the right properties for that. But we still, like I said, we're still going to be doing some other separate 506B deals, here and there. Again, can't really say when or anything because I don't know. If I did know, I couldn't say anyway. So. But just be aware and alert that if those are the types of deals you want to get into, you need to be on their website and get the email alerts and just to know when they happen. But for right now, we're definitely presently focusing on this fund to make sure we get the capital needed to get all those deals in there. But as I said, we still will do some separate ones outside of that.
Okay, thank you. You're located where? What part of the United States?
So I'm in Idaho. Our headquarters for the company is in Denver, Colorado. But we have team members kind of across the country, really. Pretty much all of us work remotely, except for the few that are local in Denver. But I'm personally in Idaho Falls, Idaho.
Okay, cool. Because I might be interested in seeking you out for just private consultation.
Oh, sure, no problem.
Okay.
Are you yourself in Idaho or looking to buy in Idaho or just?
I'm actually in Southern California, but I'm selling off real estate, to get into this sort of investment.
Sure. Yeah, awesome. Yeah, that's like I mentioned before, the two fourplexes I had in Arkansas, I sold both of them. And I'm taking all of that, the capital I got back, and putting it all into this fund myself. So,
Fantastic.
I saw it as a better option than dealing with the hassles I had with those properties anyway, for the tenant problems and the costs and things involved in it. So, this is a much better way to be passive and get better returns anyway.
Absolutely.
Don, for those that are saying, including myself, the returns are too good, what would you say to them? Because for multifamily deals, you're like, they're stopping distributions because some of them have bridge loans, right? So then they're waiting for the distributions. So, like, what would you say for us or myself that like, wow, it's too good to sound true?
So I completely understand that. And the funny thing is, if like I said, the numbers we put out on our investment summary packets, the executive summaries, even though those numbers sound incredible compared to anything else, those are still basically our low end expectations. We want to under promise and over deliver. So the true numbers of these properties are, in fact, just generally so high that if we would show you what we actually expect, you would definitely say these are too good to be true. It's impossible. So we try to be extremely conservative and bring the numbers down a lot and add on additional expenses and things just to inflate those things to make it look worse than it really is. It's because say this is our worst case scenario is going to be still a 12% cash to cash. That's still pretty good. So going back to why or how they cash flow so well is, again, kind of comparing that if you're familiar with the short-term rental, like say an Airbnb, a single family house, compare it to a standard long-term rental single family. In most cases, that short-term rental is going to way outperform that long-term rental, at least double, if not more, the cash flow from it. And so that's basically what we're doing. These properties are basically like a short-term rental at a multifamily scale, or just hundreds of short-term rentals on a single property. So So that's part, the main reason why they're producing such high cash flow and why we don't buy the RV park model, which is more like a mobile home parks. Those are basically long-term rentals that don't produce as well. So these are just constantly producing, high income on these properties.
And just the last question, what is the financing on RV campgrounds?
Yeah, so depending on the property, it can be difficult to get financing at times. The great thing for us on most, well, not most, but probably about half of our deals, we actually get seller financing. So, being these are mom and pop owned and they've probably been in their family for generations in most cases, they don't own anything on them. So we are working out seller finance deals on at least half the deals we do. And the ones that don't, we do get standard just commercial bank financing. There are times we've had to shop around a bit to find different lenders because there can be unique cases like the one in Missouri where we had a lender on hand ready to do it, then realized, okay, it's got a marina. No, we don't like marina, so they wouldn't lend on it. And then another one that didn't like this got a hotel on it, so they wouldn't lend on it. Another one, because that one actually has a land lease involved, they didn't want to lend on a land lease. So we had to shop around a bit. We finally found a few that could do it, but in the end, we actually went with seller financing. So we got that one seller financed because they understood the problem and the difficulty with it. And but in most cases, if we can get just a standard bank financing right now, they're usually about 70%, LTV or LTC. Again, we try to include our CapEx budget in it if we can. So it's usually not too difficult for that. Honestly, the banks are pretty happy to lend when they see we far exceed the DCR requirements and things. So so yeah, there's typically not too much problem getting a loan. We've not used any bridge debt yet on anything, so which is good too. Like I said, those problems you were talking about. So we try to avoid that if we can, and so we just go with the standard financing and then do the capital raise for the rest, and then or say we get the seller finance. In most cases, we get at least a year or up to maybe 3 years of interest only, and then do our construction capex build out things to just vastly improve the income and the value of the property in that time, and then by that point later, refinance it or sell it off.
Amazing, thank you.
Yeah.
And on the rates that you're getting when it's seller finance, is it usually fair or comparable to what commercial would be in terms of loans?
Yeah, usually, maybe a little bit under, or at least, even if it's right at the same, we would get bank financing, we're still prefer to do that just because it makes it a lot easier and a lot less still fees involved from the bank fees and things, so a lot less, red tape and requirements, all that kind of stuff. So, but yeah, we try to work it out, obviously more favorable for us to get, if we can get a little bit less. In some cases, we had to do some education with the sellers. Not all campground owners, I would say, are very, highly sophisticated, investors or anything like that. So we have to still, like even say we do it with a single family home you're trying to buy with seller financing, you have to do some education and explain, why this is a good deal for them to actually get more out of it in the long run, and to save them from their capex, or I'm sorry, capital gains taxes they may get hit with. So if they've got a property they bought 30 years ago for a few $100,000, now it's worth 3 million we're buying, that's gonna be a big capital gains expense for them. So we show them how they can mitigate that and lessen those gains by doing a seller financing and paying it out over time. So it usually works out to everybody's benefit in there. But yeah, it's usually so far they've been actually slightly under the market interest rates. But I said even if we got them at the same, it still usually works out to be a better deal anyway. And even with the seller financing, we still get in most cases at least a year of interest only.
Gotcha. Thank you. And so you're basically running it seller finance until you can do any of the improvements. If they're willing to still stay in place, then you'll leave it.
Yeah. So it's going to vary. We've got some that may have like a shorter time period, like they balloon in 3 years or 5 years or whatever it may be. So we'll try to get that as long as we can. But yeah, the ultimate goal at some point would be to, even if we did our CapEx, got it completed, say by year 2, we'd probably still want to do the refinance sooner just to get them paid off and have it on a more long-term financing structure, and to at least provide some capital back to our investors, if not all of it at that point. But it's going to be deal specific, depending what works best for that situation, and the best interest for everybody involved.
Any remaining questions?
Yeah, thanks, Don, for answering all those questions I've had. And ultimately, what you're saying, based on what I'm understanding, is that your primary goal is to do the renovations, increase value or equitable position, and then refinance it with that new value, and pay back or pay off the owners at that point.
Yeah. So.
Perfect. Thank you.
I guess to close off the webinar, I know, Don, you mentioned you left a note in the message. So there's a webinar on Friday. Can you tell us more about the webinar and how people can reach you, just to learn more about the future investment opportunities?
Yeah. So I put registration links in there for 2 webinars. Like the one we have tomorrow night on how to invest with your IRA or 401k, and with Dmitry Fomenchenko. And then the one on Friday it's kind of more specifically about the fund, but we are showing one of the properties is going into that fund. So essentially, this is what's called a blind fund, which typically means you don't know what's going to be purchased in that fund. It could be used for anything. But for us, we like to make sure people actually see what's going into it. We want you to be excited and motivated to say, wow, I want to get to that fund. So this is now the second property that's assigned for this fund. We're doing a webinar on that property this Friday. It is another seller finance one. It's in Arkansas. It's a kind of unique property where it also has, aside from the RVs park on it, it's got some timeshare condos on it. It's on its own private lake. Part of our capex on that is we are going to actually build out a boat dock, because there's not one existing there currently. And there is a need and demand for that in that location, that area. So it's a very cool property. Again, very high cash flow expectations, without getting into too much details now. If you want to learn more, come to that webinar. And if you can't make it to the webinar, you can at least go to our website, get happycampercapital.com, register there. You'll get access to see the executive summaries about the property. You can watch our past webinar replays and other properties we've done, just to get an idea of what to expect and what to see. Like I said, I know we've had pretty an explosive year this year alone, but next year is going to be even bigger. We already have a lot more deals in the pipeline. They're coming up. And as we continue to grow and bring on more team members and staff, it's just going to be, quite incredible, I think, of what's to come, especially as this space gets more heated. And, you may or may not have seen that several other, I say it's traditional or standard multifamily deal sponsors that have done this multifamily before. Some of them are now starting to step into this space as well. So I've seen a few that are trying to do their own. A few of them have actually contacted us to want to partner with us, to have them essentially have us do the analysis, underwriting, management of it, and everything, and they just bring their investor capital. So like I said, I think you're going to see a lot more people getting into this space in the very near future.
That's awesome. We'll always remember Camper Capital as being the first ones in the RV campground space, especially since now you said it's getting more heated, more competition, but you'll have the upper hand being the first, being one of the first, right?
Exactly. I think that's kind of what we're sort of going for, I guess, to be the leaders in this space, to be that name brand. So you think of like if you know anything about brand marketing, you think of like Xerox or Kleenex. Those are just companies that make those products, but their name has become associated with that thing. So that's kind of I think we're hopefully getting to that point. I've already heard a lot of people that just so far, at least for me, since I'm kind of the one that's more actively talking on podcasts and webinars and social media, talking about what we do. A lot of people just associate me with that space. So here's of campgrounds in general. Someone was talking about, wanted to know more about campgrounds. They say, "Oh, go talk to Don or go to Happy Camper Capital." So we're already at that point of being leaders in that space and being known. We've had, aside from these other deal sponsors and investors, we've had a few. Well, I'll say a few, but I guess not to give too much. We've had some other interest from other outside businesses and sources that have contacted us to do some collaborating on certain things that may or may not be coming up in the near future. But definitely see a great bright future for our team, what we're doing, and for, of course, our investors, to provide them the biggest value of it. Our investors get the biggest chunk of all of our deals. So everything we do is to provide great value to our investors and make them want to talk about it and share it with their friends and family too, to help to continue to grow and bring more capital to do more deals.
Exactly. Well, Don, thank you so much for presenting the webinar. I learned a lot more about RV campgrounds and really sparked my interest to invest. I hope it sparked everyone's interest as well. And we have your contact information. So thank you everyone again for your time. And Don, definitely will be hearing from us.
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate it. Yeah, I dropped my contact info in the chat besides the webinars. So again, if you want to get hold of me, you can find me easily on LinkedIn. I'm very active on LinkedIn, and then Facebook. And then, of course, I said go to our website and learn more about me and get hold of me.
Awesome. Thank you so much, everyone.
Thanks.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you.